Have a few minutes? You won't believe what you can do with it. Open a Regions checking account online in as little as 5 minutes. Then enjoy award-winning service and banking tools and tech that help you live in the moment. Learn more at regions.com/live in the moment. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. It's time for Gwinnett Business Radio. Gwinnett Business Radio is presented by Regions Bank. Brave the beginning. Member FDIC.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome to Gwinnett Business Radio. Mike Salmon alongside Stephen Julian, who has rejoined us after being gone last week. Where were you last week, Stephen?
I was doing what all good adults should do. I went to the dentist and make sure that I didn't have any cavities and that I was brushing correctly.
I trust everything went well?
Everything went well. I even got to go into the prize closet and I picked up a little kaleidoscope. It was great. It was wonderful. And I couldn't miss this show because we got two great guests, and it's the opening day of the Major League Baseball season. So I knew
wow.
There were two people I wanted to make sure I spent today with, my wife and family, because we love baseball, and you, Mike.
Oh, by the way, you
former
know,
coach.
You know those toys are for the kids at the dentist office.
No, they're not.
Not for the adults.
I raised enough of a fit that they let me in, but I didn't cause a scene. So I don't think anyone got a viral YouTube video of it.
We've got some, as you said, we've got some wonderful guests here in the studio. We've got our friends here from Rytech Restorations of Gwinnett County. But before that, we're going to be joined by Mason Ailstock. He is the president and CEO of the Rowan Foundation. And Mason, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Rowan Foundation, if you're in Gwinnett County and you're a business leader, you've probably have heard about it. It's coming. It's coming. So tell us what we're going to expect. What is Rowan Foundation? What is it you're working on the outskirts of Gwinnett County?
All right. Well, thanks again for having me this morning. So Rowan Foundation is the steward of a 2,000-acre project in eastern Gwinnett County. And it's a nonprofit organization that has a vision for creating a knowledge community that's really about bringing together higher education and the wonderful people that come out of those institutions, a diverse talent pipeline, and connecting them with industry. So making Gwinnett more competitive, making Georgia more competitive globally in three specific areas around agriculture, medicine, and the environment. 2,000
acres, so you're building a technology community out there.
That's right. It's a very intentional community. It is real estate. We have property, but we're really curating a development. We're curating a group of people, very diverse, to help pour into this talent group and industry sector that will really strengthen all of us together, quality of life and opportunities for us moving forward.
I think anyone listening to this interview picked up almost immediately a little bit of a different terminology that I'm going to ask you to go a little deeper into. Knowledge community. Usually these kind of developments are focused on one thing or another, but break down what knowledge, why you guys use that term and what makes it different.
Sure. So knowledge community to us really means it's a very special term, and it's intentionally there to stand out. And there's qualities in a knowledge community that are different than what you may find in an office park or a mixed use development. They're places that are highly collaborative. They're about bringing together diverse people, industries, organizations into one environment where they can collaborate, and otherwise they probably would not have had a reason to or opportunity to interact. They're also authentic. It's not about replicating Boston or Austin. It's about creating a destination that reflects the values, the vision, the character that Gwinnett has, that Georgia has, and using our 2,000 acres and the history that's there as well to build a physical environment that's authentic to our place. They're also inspiring. So I have two young kids, and I want them to be inspired not only about the future, but about their role in the future, and that they could come to a place like Rowan and have a knowledge community where they say, I see a woman that's an engineer. I see a man that's a scientist. I see how they interact with each other. I see how they partner and create new ideas, new innovations. And the last piece about a knowledge community that's different is it's accessible and affordable. This isn't about marble, ferns, and fountains. It's about creating a place where we remove the barriers from all people being able to come and join us as a part of the invitation to creating a place that really is about future generations.
I noticed when you were listing the descriptions of the different types of industries, agriculture, medicine, and technology, those don't always go together. So that's kind of part of this whole knowledge community and collaboration of things that don't necessarily collaborate all the time or in a lot of different areas.
Exactly. It's really about the points of convergence. I mean, when you think about agriculture, it's not a far stretch to think about the food that we put in our body is directly impacting our wellness, our health, the medicine that we take, and the different solutions that we need. Our environment equally has an impact on our health and wellness. So there's these points of convergence between medicine, agriculture, and the environment that are particularly interesting to us, and where we can partner with companies and say, how does technology connect with healthcare, and agriculture and the work in the field connect with our community wellness? And it's also about the enabling technologies. We find often when we say agriculture, medicine, and the environment, we by nature want to compartmentalize things and give it some very specific definition. But there's also a number of enabling technologies around chips, fiber, all different advanced materials that are a part of all of these spaces, almost as a foundation that would be welcome to think about Rowan as a home.
Have you been getting input from the community? Has there been a process where you're getting some feedback and input from the community?
Absolutely. Since our launch in 2020 and then through 2021, we've held community conversations with hundreds of people, both online and in person, from Tequila to Lawrenceville, and really across the metro region, to invite that input. Again, what we build on this 2,000 acres is really for the people now, for our community now, and for the generations that are coming behind us. And we want to be intentional with that, truly as a steward. So inviting that input very early on was critical and ongoing. We also created the Gwinnett Community Advisory Task Force, which was those were 18 leaders from Gwinnett, which included Chairwoman Hendrickson, Commissioner Jasper Watkins, Santiago Marquez from the Latin American Association, and a number of other business leaders and community leaders to help speak into our planning and visioning. And that's been just critical to our path.
From what I'm hearing, I mean, the scale of this seems like it's maybe something that we quite haven't seen it before.
It's very unique. I mean, we have a quote that I can share from Burt Brantley in the governor's office. It says, Georgia has never had a project like this that has been mission driven, a generational type of project where we are curating these industry partnerships. And this is something that really is about building a place for the future and doing it with that intentionality. The foundation will always have oversight in the development, in the architecture, in the planning, and building those relationships between our higher education institutions and industry, and using that as a great asset, a strength for our entire state.
We're speaking with Mason Ailstock. He is the president and CEO of the Rowan Foundation, which is kind of getting off the ground and looking to do some amazing things in Gwinnett County as a nonprofit, and also being involved in these different industries he's talked about. Mason, one of the gimmicks I try to live on this show is I'm the slightly annoying co-host, so if you'll allow me to ask a slightly annoying question. You've been talking about the vision and you've been talking about what lays ahead. Can I ask, where's it going to start? What's the first couple practical steps or practical buildings? What are some of the things you're going to, because you got to start with the first step.
Absolutely.
And you guys certainly have taken steps, but what's the next big first step you guys are looking at?
Absolutely, and not an annoying question at all. I think that's really
Dang it, I'll work on my next one.
People are really interested in saying, we love the vision. We understand how this concept is coming together. You're explaining what a knowledge community is. When do we start? What does that look like? And it starts later this year. We will break ground on the first 2 miles of infrastructure and utilities right off of Highway 316 along the Appalachia River. We're going through a site certification process, which, if you're familiar with the U.S. Green Building Council, that's all about sustainability and stormwater management, and how do we design a place that is also for the future. So our vision is for the future, and then how we're executing that vision is also for the future. Later this year, so we'll kick that off. In parallel with that, we're also working with our economic development leaders at the state, in partnership Gwinnett and with the county, to position Rowan globally, nationally, to recruit those companies and connecting them to our higher education institutions who serve on our board of directors. We have the provost from UGA, President Jan Joseph from Georgia Gwinnett College, Bert Reeves from Georgia Tech, that we are building that leadership team to help speak into how we recruit these companies in partnership with our local leaders.
How about the workforce? I assume, sounds like jobs will be coming along with this. About how many and what types of jobs?
Absolutely. So again, multi-generational. So at 50% build out, which we project to be in 30 years or so just context, we'll have about 10 million square feet and around 55,000 jobs. That's our projections. Economic.
How many jobs?
55,000 jobs.
30 years.
30 years. So
Yeah.
this time it's investment curation, not just transacting property. But that's a lot of jobs. It's a lot of opportunities to connect intentionally with those talent pipelines and with our industry partners. That also results in $6.6 billion in economic activity back into Gwinnett County, back into the state that can support our public school systems, transit solutions, our libraries, our parks. So Rowan is envisioned to be a flywheel of opportunity that is going to give back to our communities and create a diversity of jobs. Not everybody at Rowan will have a PhD to work there. There'll be room for technicians, associate's degrees, high school diplomas, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, the full spectrum, so that there's really an opportunity for everybody in the economy to participate.
And one of the keys here of being a knowledge community, this is not just an industrial park. This is not just a place to bring in businesses to do business. This is a
Yes.
collaboration between education and commerce.
Absolutely.
And then whatever else, and probably government as well.
That's right.
To try and find solutions, to try and achieve goals, to try and build business, kind of all coming together, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
And I'm building on, I came to Georgia from Research Triangle Park, where I served as the chief operating officer of the RTP Foundation. So a lot of history there, a lot of things that we learned how to work with our higher education institutions. And of course, in Georgia, we're going to do it better, do it bigger, do it authentic to Gwinnett and to our state. And how we bring those relationships together is very intentional. It will not have... There's actually covenants on the land where industrial manufacturing are not the types of uses that we would see as the sole use for a company coming in. So we are looking for those knowledge jobs that are creating a scientific output. They're creating opportunities for investment. They're creating new companies that help us to grow, that they feed one another and continue to create new opportunities.
This is going to affect not just this local area. I mean, this is a regional area.
Global.
Global. There we go. I like
global. How did we end up with you in our backyard? How did you find this area? And is it's not just Gwinnett County. I mean, or is it all in Gwinnett County?
It is all in Gwinnett County.
It's all in Gwinnett County.
Yep.
So how did we get to be so fortunate?
Just the vision that started with Chairwoman Charlotte Nash, and then and now with Chairwoman Hendrickson, that really started this idea, and wanted to create a new economic development opportunity that, again, was about more than land and about the future of Gwinnetians, future of our state. And through that, over a number of years, this project has actually been going on for quite some time. As the property was brought together and assembled, there were conversations and outreach to colleagues of mine that were at RTP, and ultimately landing on, a really exciting opportunity to say, Mason, are you interested in joining us? And we have a fabulous team of construction managers, designers supporting us in all of this work. So I'm sitting in front of the microphone, but we have a team of dozens in many different fields that are making all of this possible. And it's that group of implementers that we have and really moving forward.
You mentioned Research Triangle up in North Carolina. Everybody's familiar with that. I mean, is it safe to say you're creating the Research Triangle down here in this area?
It's more like a rectangular shape, I think. I'm just kidding.
I think there's, it's not replicating RTP. There's best practices that you can learn in Europe and in Research Triangle Park and the West Coast, all over the world. And we're absolutely wanting to understand, what did we pull from RTP? What did I create there? What did our team create there? And then how do we learn from those things here? But also, what are the unique qualities of Georgia? What are our strengths? What are the strengths of our institutions? And how do we draw those out to make a place that really is reflective of the future that we want?
You said that, and I was kind of interested in the origin, and we didn't talk about this off air. So if I ask so here again, trying to be slightly annoying, maybe get in trouble here, but you talked about the efforts of Charlotte Nash and others, I'm sure. How far back does this, because Mike is right, a lot of us have heard of Rowan, but this is probably, because 2,000 acres in Gwinnett, a lot of people are like, how on earth did they get 2,000? It took time.
It did take time.
Yeah, it took time. It took negotiation. It took a lot of stuff. So how far back does this go? Where does it really start?
Several years as far as the real estate acquisition goes, and that's before I was involved. But it did take a lot of conversation with the county, with the families that own the land, and their vision for a place. I mean, part of the vision for Rowan came from the families that had the property, because they weren't interested in just selling the land for another residential development.
Right.
They were interested in using this land that they've had in their families for generations to understand the history, to understand the culture, the connection to agriculture. One of the families there had a doctor in the family that has also kind of spoken into this focus on medicine. So there's a lot of pieces that have come in, and the land wasn't really an option until this vision for a bigger, bolder idea about future generations came about. And that was a turning point in the very early days.
And since you've come on board as the president and CEO of the Rowan Foundation, since you're located right near 316 and you're looking to kind of solve problems and do different things as a knowledge community, how many times have you gotten the joke about when are you going to fix the traffic on 316? Have you gotten it a few times?
Rowan wants to be a solution to the jobs that we're creating. So part of the conversation we have with the county is how can we create a multimodal station within Rowan? 2,000 acres, you can fit 3 UGA campuses within the 2,000 acres for context. And UGA has the second largest transit system in the state. So you think about just circulation inside of Rowan is going to be significant. And then how do we help think about, mitigate, improve circulation throughout the region, 316 and beyond, because we stretch up to Winder Highway.
So I tried to make a joke, and he turned it into solving a solution. Sounds like a knowledge community. A good guy to lead a knowledge community.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night, Mason, and go, what have I gotten myself into? Because this is a major project, obviously.
Absolutely not. I love it. I mean, this is what I love to do every day, to work with just great people and to pour back into the community, invite input, and know that I can give myself the grace to say we are building something that really is about, again, the people that are coming behind us. So invite them in, take that pressure off and come up with solutions together.
Well, it sounds like they got the right man for the right job, and
I appreciate that.
I know you've got a lot of work to do, so we appreciate you coming by and stopping by for a few minutes. I want to back up just a quick second before we let you go. The name Rowan. Is there a significance to that name?
Absolutely. It came about, it's actually an agricultural term that means second harvest or a second cutting, which is often has more nutrients in it than even the first cutting. So in one season, the second cutting in one season.
Okay.
And it's an important value to the foundation, because you think about the families, the generations before us that were the stewards of this land, and the land provided for those families, right? That was the first harvest, the first cutting. And now Rowan, as the steward for this 2,000 acres, how do we create a place that is producing benefit for future generations? I keep going back to that we're building a place that is reinvesting. So that second harvest, Rowan, agriculture, it's one of those names. When we came across it, it was, that's it. That's the one.
Absolutely. Well, for those that would like to find out more and look into all the work you're doing, is there a website where they can kind of get an idea of this vision?
RowanLife.com. We have a connect link in the upper right-hand corner. Welcome community leaders and just community members to connect with us. We share an e-newsletter. Also businesses. There's a vendor link on there. The Rowan Foundation board has established a 30% SMWBE goal for all of our contracting. So businesses can also register there. All businesses, not just SWMBEs, but all businesses. And we have a development timeline so folks can see where their company could fit in as we move forward with implementation. And we have all of that as a part of our database and pulling together information for business opportunities in the project.
Okay, and again, the website is rowanlife.com, and Rowan is ROWEN. So Mason Ailstock, President, CEO of Rowan Foundation, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Mike, before we get to our next guest, I am going to do something that has never, ever, ever been done on this show, and I'm very excited to do it. So I bet you're just
in almost 10 years we've never done this?
Never done this.
What is it you're going to do?
At the same time, I'm going to thank 2 of our fantastic partners that we have. So first, I want to remind everybody that we all know that keeping your company's financial future on track means having the right resources to support your growth. Regions Commercial Banking offers you lending capabilities and strategic solutions tailored to your needs, and you'll work with a team of experienced bankers here in Gwinnett. Discover steps to take that can help move you closer to your business goals. Regions is here to help. To learn more, visit regions.com/commercial-banking. Regions Bank.
Member FDIC.
And that's normally where we would stop and go to our next guest. But they are the partner with our show. I also want to take this moment to thank our partners for the studio, which is, we love our partners. And love is what makes a Subaru. Enjoy big savings and a hassle-free experience at Subaru of Gwinnett, where people sell cars. Visit SubaruofGwinnett.com and join their family today, or come in and see the difference. If you're already a Subaruist, then check out their Facebook page and other social media pages for the latest news, offers, and community events. Just look for Subaru of Gwinnett.
Did you enjoy that?
I loved it. It was fantastic. I'm so full of adrenaline. Let's get to our next guest.
Our next guest come to us from Rytech Restorations of Gwinnett County. We have Tonya Baughman. And Tonya, you're the Director of Marketing, and you got some other titles going on there too as well.
I do, yeah. Business development.
Business development, okay. Yeah. And Melissa Blaurock.
Yes.
And Melissa is the Account and Marketing Manager. And so, Rytech Restorations, who wants to take the first question?
Neither of them are raising their hands. Mike, I guess I have to take
okay.
it. Okay.
Melissa, tell us about Rytech Restorations of Gwinnett County. Tell us all about the business.
Yeah, so Rytech Restorations of Gwinnett County is a 24/7 emergency services company that helps with water damage, fire, sewage, mold, and asbestos cleanup. We do water extraction, structural drying, mold inspections, mold remediation, flood cleanup. There's nothing we can't handle.
All right. And Melissa, what is your role there?
Yeah, so I help with the marketing and account management. So I like to grow the business with connecting one-on-one with business owners and people that we can help. I love working with plumbing companies, roofers, insurance agents, insurance adjusters. We help anyone that we can and able to.
And Tonya, your role with the company?
Actually, we have now 6 areas. We have Metro Atlanta, Gwinnett County, and we're also in South Carolina. We're in Florence, Myrtle Beach, Columbia, and Greenville area.
Okay, so Melissa, you're with Gwinnett County, and Tonya, you're kind of all over the place.
I am. All the time. I tell people I stay at home. I'm at home just on the weekends. The rest of the time I'm traveling with my team.
And how big is well, I mean, you gave us an idea of the locations, but how long has Rytech been around?
Rytech is actually developed in Kennesaw, Georgia, and has been around for 28 years. Bubba Ryan is the founder, and Anthony Curtis and Brian Larman are our 2 owners that own the 6 that I'm over, and they are going to be his protege.
I think sometimes when people think of a restoration company, unfortunately, most of the time they don't think about it until they need a restoration, until
Correct.
that accident has happened.
Correct.
And so this is a very important question for people to hear while things are still normal and okay and nothing bad has happened. Mm-hmm. Now's the time to kind of ask the question of what sets Rytech apart from the other restoration companies out there, because when you're in a crisis, the first one you pull up or the first one that can show up. But it's important to know what are some of the differences between Rytech and its competitors.
One of the things, and I'm going to let Melissa answer this question also, but one of the biggest things is I always let people know that it's our expertise that we have. One of our owners was an adjuster for 14 years before going into restoration. Then, after that, he worked in restoration, then began a restoration company. I come from 18 years of insurance. I was an insurance agent. So
I'm so sorry.
I know, right? I know. No, what has really been successful for us in that aspect is I'm actually going around and I teach the new insurance agents what they need to be looking out for now that I'm on this side of it. So we bring that to the table where no one else does. And another huge factor is in Kennesaw, we're a 24/7, 365 company. So in Kennesaw, Georgia, we actually have, and we're the only restoration company that has this, but we not only have a customer service that's answering the phones, we also have what they call data specialists that are looking behind everything that we're doing so that everything is checked. So our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, and that's what's so important to us.
Melissa, Tonya was going to let you answer that question, so let me kind of pivot the question a little bit to ask, because you are an account manager. Mm-hmm. So as an account manager, what are some of the things that you've been able to do with clients as they're working through this horrible thing, and that you can say, hey, I know as the account manager, this is what we're doing differently. This is what I'm bringing to the table that other companies might not be able to.
Absolutely. I love working one-on-one with our clients. I think it's very important that when a customer calls me, if their worst day happens, they can call and count on me, and I call and talk with their insurance agents, their adjusters, any other company that has to come onto the premises, we work together. And that's very important to me, is communication, care, and transparency.
And I think any restoration company has to talk to an insurance company, but how that is done, there can be a huge difference in those kind of conversations. Am I right?
Yes. It can be sensitive subjects sometimes when toilet overflows and it's 3 stories of a building that needs restored. But I like the one-on-ones. I like being able to get to know people and know how I can help them and listen to what they need.
And we actually help them file their insurance claims, whether it's a business or a personal.
And not every restoration company will do that, right?
No, exactly.
That's huge.
But because of the expertise that we have, those are little things that we can do that help people. So we actually encourage everyone we meet, if this happens, especially with insurance agents, when you get that call, oh my gosh, I'm standing in 3 feet of water and I don't know what to do, just immediately give them my number. Don't go any further, because I'm going to help you look great. I'm going to help us look great, and I'm going to put them at ease immediately.
All right, Melissa, you mentioned the toilet overflows and you got 3 stories of, and you mentioned standing in 3 feet of water, Tonya. Those are obvious situations when you should call a restoration company. What are maybe some of the less obvious situations when you probably need to call a restoration company? What are some of the signs that maybe they need to call Rytech?
Well, one of the many signs, and now you have some insurance companies that are covering this, is hidden water. So a lot of times people take behind showers is where we find it the most, or around the toilet rings at the bottom. The seals will break and water will come up under the flooring. And a lot of times people think, like tile, for instance, is always sealed. Well, if it's not sealed around the cabinets in the toilet and the bathtub, then it's going to go under. And so that's one of the things, is that hidden water. So you start kind of feeling your floor get kind of squishy, or you start seeing mold grow, and then we have one right now where the lady had no idea that she even had mold and had a leak until she starts seeing something in the ceiling that looks weird, and her ceiling starts to kind of buckle. Well, the roofer comes over and says, yeah, you have a leak, but you also have an attic full of mold. So it had been leaking in the attic and finally made it down to the ceiling part. Yeah. Wow. So those are the things. So keep watching out for things like that. And, a lot of times you're just like your Terminex guys, or, termite people will go under the houses. They a lot of times will find that mold, and they notify us and let us know. And what we do differently too is to get rid of mold. There's over 200,000 spores of mold, so you've got to be careful when you get rid of it. You got to make sure it's gone. Well, the only way to make sure that it's gone is it has to be completely removed. So we literally remove it, and under a house we'll sand it off. And then we treat it so that it doesn't come back. So those are important factors.
And for most people with homeowners, insurance will cover a lot of the costs. Or how does that work?
That's the biggest thing. I'm glad
I asked the question then, right?
Well, and this is one of the things.
And this is specifically about mold, right? We're staying with this topic of mold.
Yeah. So mold, actually, you have to make sure it's on. There are some insurance companies that don't even offer mold coverage. So that's something that people need to look. There's a declaration page, is the first page of your policy, and that's one of the things you want to look for. And most of the time, if your company does cover it, it's going to be either a $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 coverage. I honestly now tell people, pay that extra $20 a year and get that $15,000 worth of coverage. So. But mold is your big thing. The other thing is sewer backup. A lot of people, you can pay $10 a year, $15 a year, and have that $10,000 to $15,000 to help with that sewage backup. Another thing is when we have fires. I have one right now that I just was at yesterday, because I was actually supposed to be here yesterday, but I was at yesterday, and they did not know that their content coverage was only $1,000. Their dishwasher, while they were walking around their neighborhood, they come back and their dishwasher is on fire. And the cabinets are on fire. and around it. They got it out, but when I get there yesterday, I'm helping them with their filing the insurance, because she's like, I call, but nobody will call me back. So I helped her with all of that. And anyway, when I got the adjuster on the phone, and he said, well, they only have $1,000 in coverage for the contents. And I'm like, there's
possible?
no way. And then come to find out,
it just gets better.
It does, honestly. They only had what they call actual cash value, and a lot of people don't realize what the difference is between replacement cost and actual cash value. Replacement cost, and this is what I've given for many years, you have a 2007 TV. If it burns up, then if you have replacement cost, you're going to get a 2022 TV. If it's actual cash value, they're only going to give you a percentage of what it would cost.
Because it's a 2007 TV, so you're going to get $25 or whatever.
Right. So you're going to get 70 to 80% of what it would cost. So unfortunately, like in this situation, this was a rental property, and the man that owns it had actual cash value on the house itself. So what that means is, now that they've had all this damage in their house, because now every single room in that house has to be cleaned because of all the smoke damage.
Right.
So yes, you had a little fire there, but it ended up smoking up every single room, and it gets in the walls, and it gets in the flooring. So everything has to be cleaned. So in this situation, he only has actual cash value as well. So that means he's got it covered for like $29,000. We'll just give a ring of so we'll get about 80% of that for us to be able to get everything out of their house, because all the contents have to come out. Well, now they have to pay for that because they didn't have a renter's policy.
All of this because they went for a walk in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right?
So
There's the moral of the
don't
story.
go walking in the neighborhood.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
The heck with
No,
walking.
actually, the other moral of the story is everybody go check your homeowner's insurance
100%.
policy.
Absolutely.
And work with
Yes.
work with an insurance person
And
that
call
you trust.
me. I don't mind a bit helping. I have people they'll email me their declaration page, and I'll look over it.
Well, so I was going to ask that question. So many times you guys are called in again after a crisis, and you work
Correct.
with the insurance company. So if insurance won't cover, do you guys help with, hey, we'll figure out the best solution we can help you with?
100%. That's what we're doing for these people
Yeah,
now.
so
We gave them
payments
an
or whatever.
idea
Yeah.
of kind of what it was going to cost to get all the contents in. They have 2 kids, so all the kids' toys, their clothes, their sofas, their beds, their mattresses. Usually we throw mattresses out because you can't get it out. So we will help them every step of the way of getting the people in contact that they need. That will help them. And what I'll do is make the phone calls and say, all right, this is the situation we're dealing with. And that's one of the things we pride ourselves on, is we have connections. And I'm down to the point I'll tell people, look, if you need a babysitter, I can find it for you. So, we have connections.
So that kind of separates you from the competition, perhaps.
Yeah.
So Melissa will be coming over to babysit for you.
All right.
I can
No,
help.
she said she could find one.
Yeah, she found Melissa. As we get ready to wrap up the interview, I'll throw it to you, Melissa, for one last little curveball here at the end. Maybe your biggest accomplishment or biggest memory since working for Rytech?
So Rytech has opened a lot of doors and opportunities for me. I was actually recently nominated for one of Gwinnett's Young Professionals' most influential people to work with.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Ooh, you got the bell.
I got
That's
the
a
bell.
big deal.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Been working hard and love working with Tonya, and I have such a great supportive team backing me.
Guys, getting a little emotional there.
Yeah. Calm down, Mike.
Kind of how I feel working with Steven
Oh, thanks.
day in and day out
Yep.
for 8-9 years.
You're sounding less and less convincing as you talk. Maybe you should wrap up the
That's
interview.
great. Biggest question of the day for those that would like to find out more about Rytech Restorations of Gwinnett County, and then maybe the whole company as well, because people could be listening to this anywhere in the country. So
Especially
you
in
serve all
South
those other
Carolina.
areas.
Yep.
Where can they get the information? Where can they find out more about the company?
Yeah, so to find out more about Rytech, you can go to rytechinc.com, or you can also call us at 678-434-0767, and you can ask for me specifically, Melissa or Tonya.
And Rytech is spelt?
Rytech.
And I'm going to give one little tip. Everybody get your pens or get your note on your phone out. Give the number one more time, because that's the most important thing when the crisis happens. You're not going to go on the website. You need the number. So
yes.
Give the number
So
again.
our phone number is 678-434-0767, and ask for Melissa.
Yep.
Tonya Baughman and Melissa Blaurock, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having us.
Rytech Restorations joining us here on Gwinnett Business Radio. Also, a big thank you to Mason Ailstock with Rowan Foundation for joining us on the program.
Now, we can't top Rytech's 24/7, 365 help with crisis, but Business RadioX and Gwinnett Business Radio is available 24/7, 365.
That's right. You can listen on any of your favorite podcast channels, whether it's iTunes or Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're on about 15 different platforms. What's really cool, you could be at home, and if you got Siri or Alexa, say, Alexa, play Gwinnett Business Radio podcast, and you'll pop up.
Alexa, play Slightly Annoying Co-Host podcast, and our podcast
and
will
you
come
pop up.
You know, I thought, so I'm not trying to be boastful. Our message this last week was on humility, and I thought that was a great segue, and I looked at our producer, Connor, to like say, you know, wasn't that a great segue? He just, you know, he didn't even smile, didn't even acknowledge me at all.
But he's making us sound good.
He does make us sound good.
So,
he's doing his job as a producer.
Yep.
I was just asking for a little bit extra, and I didn't get it.
All right. Thank you, Connor.
I guess that's my problem.
Thank you, Stephen. Time to go. We'll see you next time here on Gwinnett Business Radio.